Well, greetings, everybody. I have a little bit of a unique video today, and that's just some bad Mercari luck. Um, so basically, I was on Mercari, right? And a couple of weeks ago, because I kind of look around at rare devices, right? Every once in a while, sometimes if I have a little bit extra money, and yeah, right. I kind of, yeah, right. And I found this iPhone 4. Which I'll show you the listing, right? If I can go into my personal iPhone right here, iPhone 14 Pro. I go into Mercari, and you go under buying, right? And, whoops, not this one. So let's see. So we go under this one, right? So I found this, listing on Mercari. It says Apple iPhone 4, right? And if you look, if you scroll in here, it's got the, I know it's on iOS 4 because it has the activation phone on the dialer there, knowing that, all right, so it needs to be on connected to iTunes. I'm assuming it's on like iOS like 4.3 something, or maybe like 4.2.6 or whatever for the CDMA ones. Thinking, all right, that's a pretty solid deal for a non-downgraded iPhone 4. There you go. That's still on iOS 4. So we look at that, and then I asked them the seller, hey, is it still on? Is it running iOS 4? And then they didn't really answer my question, but I still paid them anyway. And I took a gamble on it, and then this is what I got, right? It's an Apple iPhone 4 32 gig unlocked, but I'm pretty sure it's the AT&T model because it's got the SIM card slot and the little thing up there, which the Verizon iPhone 4 does not have. But it's on iOS 7, so unfortunately, 7.1.2. What's pretty nice is it's a 32 gig, which is pretty nice. So at least they didn't send the bare minimum. It's a 32 gig, 7.1.2. I could get music on here. I could get all my music on here, and yeah, right. It's pretty nice device. I mean, the iPhone 4 is just super slow on iOS 7, and it's got a bad home button too. But yeah, I think I did a boot up test between the iPhone 4 on iOS 4, 5, 6, and 7 back in March, if you want to check that video out. But basically, yeah, let's look at the description. So I have a picture here. It showed iOS 4. Here's in the pictures. You see it does have the SIM card slot, so, but it didn't specify. But it's definitely a different model because it's got, yeah, like brown stuff in there versus the speaker ports are clean on these. So he definitely didn't restore this or update it. And it just says Apple iPhone 4, right? And I thought it was going to be on iOS 4 because of this screen here. And I said, well, all right, I'll just connect it to iTunes and hopefully it'll activate and then erase it OTA on iOS 4 and keep it on iOS 4 and make a video about it. But instead, as the result, it says Apple iPhone 4, black color. It said it was passcode locked, so battery doesn't hold charge. Obviously, that's not true because it is holding a charge. Untested selling as parts. So clearly, they sent the wrong item. And I messaged the seller, and they never got back to me. And I had to rate them. So, yeah, because, I mean, I didn't want a refund because this is still a good iPhone, and I already have 2 on iOS 4, but I really thought that this was going to be my 3rd one. So, but hey, it's still a nice model. It's a 32 gig, so at least they didn't send the bare minimum, right? But I'll be keeping down for my collection. I won't be doing much of it, but yeah, so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I took a gamble because I'm trying to find an iPad 1st generation. Spoiler, I actually did find one, and the seller still has to ship it. He's on vacation, but because I actually did find an iPad first generation on iOS 3 from Mercari that I purchased. It'll just be a few weeks before I actually get it. But before I found that listing, right, because I got a friend who's an Apple collector, and he has one, and he's like, you're never going to find one, right? I understand he can't find one, but I understand he can't find one, but maybe I can find one. I'll find one. I'm an Apple collector. I buy these devices, right, for my collection on rare and more modern iOS versions and updated versions. So, like that iPhone 4 right there. But basically, so whole backstory is before I found that one, I took a gamble on this one. Yeah, the seller said that it was brand new, never used, or used very little back when it first came out. He thinks it's on iOS 4. I think it's on iOS 4 as well, because of the iOS 4 blue iTunes logo. But the problem is this iPad keeps boot looping. I tried to charge it in DFU mode, and it still keeps boot looping. So the seller didn't know that, because I asked him to charge it or show me the home screen, and he says, or he or she said that it doesn't have an old 30-pin charger anymore, which is no surprise. A lot of people, they don't anymore. So he couldn't really, boot it up or anything, but says it was never used much. It's been sitting for at least 10 years, and right. And I was thinking, well, gee, maybe it's still on iOS 3, and that was before I found out that I'm getting that should be on iOS 3. I messaged the seller, said he's never updated it. He's just away on vacation, so he can't ship it yet. But I'll make a video on that as soon as we get it. So, but it turns out that the problem is the iPad keeps boot looping because it's been sitting for that long. The seller did not know that because he didn't have a charger to test it. But it's in really good condition. It was never used much. But if I connect it, it shows the Apple logo for a second, right? Thinking everything's okay, right? But then it just keeps boot looping. And I heard that was a common issue with the original iPads. If they weren't used for if they were just brand new, never used, right? Right? Never used for a few years, or then the batteries on these things just go poof. And I think that's what happened. And now since I removed the charger, it doesn't want to even keep trying to boot up. So I mean, that's the problem. I did find out that this is not on iOS 3. It's on either iOS 4 or 5. I'm assuming iOS 4 because the seller said it wasn't used much at all when he got it when it was the latest iPad. So it was probably shortly before the iPad 2 came out. So this is probably like on 4.3 or 4.2.1. And I did contact the seller. He was a nice guy. He totally understands, right, that it doesn't work, that it keeps boot looping. He didn't have a charger to test it, but he said it was brand new right out of the box. So, and I took a gamble on it, thinking maybe it was on iOS 3. So, because that was before I found my iOS 3 one that I'll be getting soon. And we did set up a return, and he's willing to accept it back, and he says he'll be keeping it as a collectible. And so, unfortunately, the seller is a nice guy. But basically, the moral of this video is, I tried to confirm, I basically took two gambles, right, because I did try to get in contact with the seller, right, confirming that this was on iOS 4, and he didn't really answer my questions. He just shipped it like he should have, and at least he didn't send the bare minimum because it's a 32 gig, so unlocked model, so that's pretty cool. AT&T, but I mean, on the picture showed iOS 4, but yeah, right. And then I tried contacting him after, saying, "Hey, I mean, did you have the iPhone that is actually in the picture?" Or, and he didn't say anything, so he didn't answer my questions, but he did send the item. So I kind of still took a gamble, and like I'm gonna keep it. Like I didn't request a return because it's still a nice iPhone. Even though I was hoping we would get iOS 4, but I already have 2 on iOS 4. I am trying to get another one. There are a few I'm watching right now. I'm hoping to get a not downgrade one that's not iOS 4.2.6 CDMA, because because the only ones I can find are either 4.3.5 downgraded, which is no good, and then 4.2.6 CDMA. So, and I already have a white one on 4.2.6. I did have a black one at one point, but I sold it. And then I do have a black one that's 4.1, so which I believe is the earliest version you can have an iPhone for. So, and then with this one, as I said, I did contact the seller because I wanted to see what iOS it's on, see if you could get it set up or get it to turn on. And he said he doesn't have a charger, but he said it wasn't used much. So I kind of took a gamble on it and keep booping. So and I am returning this item. So what's nice though is it did come with the original case. So back in the day. So so that seems really cool. But anyway, so I know this was a kind of more of a rant and not really a good fun video. I promise I'll have more good videos coming soon. I got some awesome stuff coming in the mail, including that first gen iPad that should be on iOS 3. And hopefully I'll have it by August. The seller said he's on vacation, so he can't ship it yet, but we did buy it. So and I got some other, maybe I'll get another original iPhone on iOS 1. There was one I wanted to get on 1.1.2, but someone won it before I did, and I missed out on a few other things that I could have bought, but I just wasn't in time enough. Unfortunately, but again, that's how it goes sometimes with buying and selling. So, and I missed out on a lot of stuff in the past. So, but I still have a pretty decent collection, and as I said, 95 subscribers, almost 100 subs. So, and maybe I'll do an Apple collection video. We'll see. I might wait until the fall just because there are lots of iPhones I need that are less rare on newer iOSs. Like I need the 12 Pro, 13 Pro, I need a 10S. I do have the 14 Pro, I do have the 11 Pro, and then of course I'll be getting the 15 Pro when it comes out. And an iPad, because I actually don't have, I had the iPad Air 4, but I sold it not that long ago because I actually don't use the iPad much, but I'm considering getting another modern iPad that's the latest, that can run the latest iOS. I was thinking 9th or 10th gen, but I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe I'll get like a older Pro, we'll see. But we'll see, because I'm more of an iPhone and Mac kind of guy than an, but we'll see if I can fit room for a third category device. But anyway, I know this is a long 14-minute video, kind of ranting, and lesson always kind of, if you're unsure about an item, just try to contact the seller first, and if they don't respond or if they don't know, then don't take a gamble on it. Because that also happened is, the iPod Touch 5th generation on iOS 6 and the iPad mini 1 on iOS 6 both elude me because I don't have either yet. I do have an iPhone 5 and an iPad 4 on iOS 6, which is the main reason why I haven't thought about getting a mini 1 on iOS 6 or the iPod Touch 5, just because I do have the more premium models. But I would like to play around with an iPad Mini and iPod Touch on 5th gen on iOS 6 and kind of compare all four. So I hope to get those. I am watching one Mini on iOS 6. They are pretty hard to find. Same thing with the iPod Touch 5. I'm watching a few Steel ones, but they're way overpriced, of course. But I really hope to have those in my collection soon. Maybe not soon, but those have been eluding me. But not that long ago, months ago, I took a gamble an iPod Touch 5 that I thought was on iOS 6, but it was just a stock photo Sally. It showed the box and everything that looked real, but then when I got it, it showed it had the iPod Touch 7th gen packaging on iOS 13 or 14. And thinking, well, that's not what I got. I tried to return it, and the seller was a much older woman. She got mean, and I just chose to let it slide and sell. And I ended up selling now and making a little money back, but because I did not need that one in my collection. But anyway, I know this was kind of more of a boring, not that great video, but of me talking and ranting about ASM. But I just wanted to share my recent attempts to find rare devices on Mercari. And as I said, Mercari and eBay are a very good platform, especially for older rare iOS devices, meaning rare like an iPhone 4S, iOS 6, iOS 5, right? 5S, iOS 7, right? And the original iPhone, right? So, iPhone 4, iOS 4, right? And so stuff like that, right? iPad 4, iOS 6, right? iPad mini, right? So, but anyway, peace out, everybody. And so I'll make some more videos soon.